Thank you for joining us on this special episode of The Intellectual. I'm your host, David S. Dawson. On November 3rd, The Intellectual was invited out to the Museum of Photographic Arts by Ryan Kalselman and Yvette Angulo to help showcase the premiere of their new short film, Our Barrio. As part of the night, they invited a selection of San Diego filmmakers to highlight their own films in the lead up to the premiere of Our Barrio. The following program is those interviews with the filmmakers who highlighted their trailers and their clips from their films at the Museum of Photographic Arts. I hope you enjoyed as much as we did. And in our next episode, we'll bring you the interview with Ryan and Yvette and the cast and crew of Our Barrio. Enjoy.
Thank you for coming. We made a deal of who was going to do the intro to this and the intro to the movie, and she was responsible for the intro for this. So I have no idea what I'm going to say, but I want to welcome you all here very much. Do you want to add anything?
Thank you so much for being here. We love and appreciate all of you.
That was very sweet. And, but really, honestly, thank you. We should have had we were going to have a little band here, but we really just didn't have time to find one. But, so that was kind of awkward coming in, but sorry. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to actually do something a little different. In the beginning, we're not going to go right to the movie. We're doing a little filmmakers discussion with different filmmakers here in San Diego. And to moderate, we have David Dawson here, who does the Intellectual podcast. So it's actually going to be a live podcast of a discussion with these filmmakers. So I want to introduce David Dawson. Come on up. He's also a director himself, and really involved in the San Diego community, so I'll pass it off to him, and everyone enjoy. Thank you.
As I said, I'm the host of the Intellectual Podcast. Hopefully you've been listening. If you haven't, you can check us out on iTunes or go to our website, theintellectual.com. We talk with creatives like yourselves and myself, and we talk about filmmaking, which is what we're going to do tonight. And what we're doing tonight is going to be recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel probably next week for you to be able to watch again. So, without any delay, because we got a lot of films to get through tonight, let's bring up our first film. My iPad will go forward. I think it's 80 proof. Let's roll that clip.
Hi, I'm Allison Irita, and we are
Halo Circus!
A few months back, our fans gave us an incredible tour, 30 cities, and San Diego is one of our last stops.
We love San Diego. We've played there a few times. It's close to our hometown of Los Angeles, and we wanted to do something really special. So when we were looking at venues, we came across this place, the Irenic, which is not only an amazing venue, it's this old converted church. It's a great club. We found out that they're involved in this youth homeless shelter, along with Urban Street Angels and 8 West.
Yeah,
We got Creature Canyon
Yes.
and Ocelot.
It's going to be amazing. You guys, we hope to see you there. The Intellectual Podcast will be there representing. And let's make this a beautiful night of celebration and awareness. November 10th, the Irenic Theater, 7 p.m. We hope to see you.
Yeah!
All right, so Jesus, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
So, you're an SDSU grad,
I am.
right?
San Diego State.
2015.
2015.
What? There we
Yeah. We got some SDSU people in here. Okay, Aztecs.
go. What did you benefit most from your classes at SDSU? How has that helped you as a
right
filmmaker?
here. These guys. This is what my college paid for, pretty much. Everything that I learned at SDSU through my professors and everything, I appreciate it. Everything, but these guys are the most valuable asset that I got out of SDSU and film school.
Awesome. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Marcus Alexander. I did the editing and the color correction for 80 Proof and the color correction for all of our last projects.
My name is Goose. I did all the sound production and post-production for 80 Proof, and this was my writer's debut. So this is one that I'm pretty proud of.
Where did your inspiration for 80 Proof come from? It being like a mobster movie.
Yeah, so not too long before I started writing it, I went to Las Vegas, and they have a mob museum out there. If any of you guys are like into mafia or anything, definitely check it out. It's really cool. So that kind of theme was already in my head, and I got to a part of the script where he was presented with a task. He was a little hesitant, and I kind of got stuck. I said, how do I get him to go from being hesitant to just being kind of gung-ho about it? And I was driving home, and I was thinking, why not have him tell a story? And why not that story be a fight story? And why not that fight story be one of my dad's like billion fight stories that he got into? So the fight story is pretty accurate of one of my dad's stories, and it's one that he told to me like my whole life growing up. So when I was writing it, I already saw it in my head. I knew exactly what words to write and everything, and it just flowed. And it was one. It just it felt special because it was such a close thing,
Yeah. So this is your first film after school?
After SDSU, this was the first big project that we embarked on. We did a bunch of.
How was the transition from doing a student film to a non-student film go for you?
I think it went rather smoothly, just because we knew each other. Mm-hmm. We knew each other as a group, and I feel like a lot of the mistakes that we were meant to make, we made in film school. So, yeah, we learned a lot. So going into a project that was outside, it wasn't for the grade. It wasn't for, and it was just us being, just because we love movies, we've always loved. So
when you seem to like criminals.
Yeah, we love. Well, of course. Who doesn't?
One of my favorite films that I've seen in recent years here in town is called Among Thieves. Let's check out a clip of Among Thieves. Who all here has seen that movie? Yeah, a few of you, yeah. Among Thieves is brilliantly written. So my compliments on the writing.
Thank you.
And it's a fantastic ensemble piece. The lights keep coming and going. It's like spooky. What is the challenges of working with an ensemble?
It was the one of the hardest parts that we had when I remember making Among Thieves was just the scheduling. Of course, that was like when I first wanted to make this project, I had the whole basis behind it was just that the characters had to be on point, down to the casting. So there was the actors that we wanted, they were the ones that we were really passionate about. And when you get really passionate and stuck to something and it doesn't work out for you, it gets really frustrating when you can't schedule them. And you're like, no, but I really want him to play that role. And it's just like, well, yeah, but you can't. You have to compromise. So that was the toughest part, I feel like. Having the ensemble cast was just having everyone be there on the days that they needed to be.
And I've been told that you're working on a feature film. Is there anything you can tell us about the film and when we might expect it?
Yeah, we want to have it. We want to go into production next year. Next summer is when we want to start. That's the goal that we've set for ourselves. But the project, we've kept it on the DL for a while now. We've been working on it, but we feel comfortable sharing it with you guys. So the title of it is actually going to be called Cuerno de Chivo, and that's.
I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, you already know. You just said I like criminals. Like you can see in my style, that it's a big part of. It's just the culture that I've coming from Barrio Logan. Me personally, I grew up there when it wasn't the greatest of neighborhoods.
It's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot, and it's really progressive, and that's something that I feel like really why I feel like I can support what our Barrio is doing in that sense, because it's that unity that brings us all together, and I could see that. And me being firsthand. My mom can tell you, right? She's sitting right there. Barrio Logan right there. Remember Barrio Logan? Yeah, you remember Barrio Logan. We grew up out there, so I can see. I'm just a product of my environment. Mm-hmm. So I grew up around hearing all these stories. So you can clearly see it in my style of film,
Well, and your style is fantastic. It's only going to get better. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our local filmmakers, Jesus Jimenez, and his wonderful film team. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Nitrate.
And next up, we're going to see the trailer for Wendy Marshall's Go Out in Violet Waters. Are you enjoying The Intellectual? Would you like to get more? Would you like to get more without commercials? Then become a Patreon sponsor of The Intellectual and Intellectual Entertainment at patreon.com/theintellectual. From there, you'll be able to support our programs and get yourself some rewards and benefits that casual viewers don't get. Thank you for your patronage, and thank you for watching The Intellectual. All right, so on stage with me now is Wendy Marshall, writer and director and lead actress of Go Out in Violet Waters, and the Mickelsons, Elsa and Stephen, who helped you produce that, correct? This was your writing and directorial debut, correct?
And producing, yes.
And producing. She just jumped right in. What was it about this story that compelled you to write it?
A couple of things. One is I'm an actress, and several years ago I joined the union and found it difficult to find roles once I joined the union. So I know San Diego's gotten more union projects lately, but at the time a lot was and still is non-union. So that was one of the incentives for me writing my own film, because then I had control over making sure that it was a union project so that I could work on it. But I'd never written anything before, so I went to a writing workshop, and at the workshop, I sort of brainstormed on a character. There are some pieces of my character in this that came from that, but at the heart of it, I really had no idea, well, how do you even come up with an idea for a story? And on the way home that night, I got this idea in the back of my head about, well, bars are kind of cool. I could do it in a bar. And then I had this idea of, well, maybe the bartender keeps changing. And I know you guys haven't seen it, but that was sort of the key piece that started.
It's a very psychological
piece. Yeah, I love psychological thrillers, and that's what this story is.
I think it's on the top there. You don't have to go out, but you don't have to come. Or you have to go out, but you don't have to come back. What's the significance of that quote?
So in the story, my character is a Coast Guard swimmer, and in this bar, there's a storm that comes, and it brings up memories of a fatal sailing accident that she feels responsible for. And one of the things that sort of is a theme in this is that quote, which I found later after deciding that she was going to be a rescue swimmer. I found this quote it's an unofficial motto from the United States Coast Guard, which is, if you don't have to go out, but you have to go out, but you don't have to come back. It worked beautifully with the story, because at the end, because the character is struggling with her own demons and fears and regrets, and she needs to decide if she's going to continue with her life, or if she's going to go out and help people, continue helping people.
Well, and that's the crutch of the whole story. Mm-hmm. And on that note, let's take a look at a clip from the film in one of the really intense moments, and then we'll talk some more. So not only did she write, produce, direct, she directed herself twice.
I made a clone.
You mentioned that you wanted to do something in a bar. A bar would be really cool. And I think everybody would agree that the look of this film is gorgeous, but that's not a real bar. You want to tell us a little bit about making the scene?
Make the dream bar. Well, I'll start by saying that we did try to find an actual bar, but because we needed it for several days, and actually knowing that I would have a minor in the film, the bar that we wanted, I tried for about a month to try to get permission and could not get in touch with the owner. And Stephen kept saying, well, you have this really talented production designer. And the more I thought about it, and then they showed me this clip from another film that they worked on where they were filming on a racquetball court, and they'd made it look like a 1950s gas station. And I thought, okay, I'm a believer. So anyway, so they wound up building the bar, and I will let them describe how they did it.
Technical difficulties.
Well, when we tried to find the bar, it just wasn't working out, so we started building the bar. Fortunately, Wendy knew somebody, Dustin, who had a warehouse that we could use. So the entire bar was built in our living room over a period of about 6 weeks, and then was all dismantled into flats and we stuffed it in a U-Haul truck and set it up over, I guess, one day we...
Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
day
sort of one day we
before
set
they
up.
brought everything. It was a functioning warehouse one day. They finished, they moved everything out, they put everything on rollers.
I'm like, Wendy, when can we start moving in? She's like, 5 p.m.
And we were filming the next day. So it
We
was
do have
pretty
a time
incredible.
lapse. We do have a time lapse of the thing.
I've seen it.
together,
It's
yeah.
impressive.
Are you going to put it
Cool.
out online?
Sure, if you want.
I would love that. It's
But
pretty
you-
cool to
but
see
you,
because not
you
only
built it in your living room?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Well, I designed it so that it was all a modular, 4x8. Being that construction materials often come sort of 4x8, I sort of designed the whole thing in sort of 4x8 sections, which is sort of a theater flat also, but so that we could build it in the living room. I just, have no carpet, tore the carpet out, and all the furniture kind of went, and we could build all this stuff and just leaned against the wall, and then the last day get a U-Haul and, take it all out and take it over to the warehouse space.
And
It was very convincing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And people that see the film have no idea unless you tell them that it's not a real bar.
It was
'cause
great to see it
it's
set up
amazing.
because I hadn't seen it in one piece. I had it only in my imagination and all my drawings and my, all the drafting and everything. So to actually see it set up, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's working out.
And then Dustin, my friend, who's also an actor, left the bar up for like a month or more. I don't. He didn't want to take it down.
I must confess, we were so tired after shooting that when he said, "Oh, just leave it," I was like, "Okay, I won't have to tear it down tomorrow."
Never tell a
I'm so
filmmaker
tired.
they can leave something behind.
Yeah.
And then they wound up filming other stuff there too, actually.
Oh, well, that's
The
good.
highway did a scene there.
Nice. Well, congratulations on the film, and I know you've been in some film festivals, and you've been doing very well with it. Let's hear it for Winnie Marshall and the Mickelsons, and go out and Violet Waters.
thank you.
Just leave it on the chair. And now we're going to have a look at the trailer for Callejaro from Ray Gallardo. So that's a feature film, correct?
Yes.
And you premiered in November of 2014?
Yes, it's been so long.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Now, that had Mexican boxing legends Carlos Palomino and Yaqui Lopez in it.
Yes.
How did you get them involved, and what were the benefits of having legends like that and challenges of having legends like that in your film?
Well, it was actually I don't know, it was like a happy accident that we ended up having them. Martin, who's the star in the film, he's from Lodi, kind of like around Sacramento, and when in our preparation for the film, I had him pretty much go through rigorous, like basically become a boxer. So he calls me up. He says, "Hey, I found this gym called Fat City, close to where I live," and then lo and behold, it's run by Yaqui Lopez, and I read up on him. I was like, "Holy crap! Can we get him in the movie?"
Sometimes things just work out, right?
Yeah, and actually for Carlos Palomino though, I don't remember. I think we kind of went through the usual casting channels, and he just applied like anyone else. And
well, that's nice.
yeah, and then coincidentally, part of the film takes place in San Luis, Colorado, and he's from there. So like when he saw his resume and his headshot, he's like, "Oh my God, this is this is the perfect fit for." He plays his father.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very cool. Now, you took this film to AFM, right? The American Film Market?
Yes.
What was that experience like?
It's a little crazy. That was my first time at AFM.
Yeah, I don't think very many of us have had that experience. Can you explain a little bit to everybody what going to the American Film Market is?
AFM is the American Film Market. I think it's kind of happening right now or like in a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're right on top of it.
Yeah. So it's pretty much our film market. So if you're trying to finance, if you're trying to sell your film, that's the place to go. Like I tell some of my friends, it's like the Comic-Con of filmmakers, because you've got tons of distributors. You've got there are like bridge financing companies there. Is everything industry-wise is out there, and we had a booth there, and then at the same time we screened the film at the AMC next to it. So, and our job when we went there was to get distributors to go see it.
And where can we see the film now?
Right now, so Successful AFM. So right now, our film is available on all, pretty much almost every streaming platform. So iTunes, Amazon. You can go to Walmart.com. You name it, Voodoo.
Well, that's impressive, folks.
So,
Let's give him a hand for that.
yeah.
And now we're going to get a sneak peek at your next film, Café con Leche.
Yes.
So let's have a look at that. These films look fantastic. What were your budgets on both of these films?
First of all, it's kind of weird. Like, I think it's playing right behind me, and I can't look behind me. So the first film, the first film we went into production like at 90K. But during production, we were like scrambling to find the rest of the budget. So I think all said and done, it's probably like 250. Okay. That's with marketing, which is very important, by the way.
How much did you put aside for marketing? Because I think that's something a lot of people forget.
Well, that's the thing. We forgot as well as everyone else would. Mm-hmm. So I don't really. I would say anything after. Probably like another 100 on marketing. Okay. So, yeah, like it was basically even like everything for the AFM booth, screening, the DCP. You got a publicist. We ran some ads, posters. It's the whole nine. Is like
a lot of things you don't think about. Closed captioning. And
closed captioning.
You got to do.
Yeah. So there are a lot of costs that when a movie's done, it's not really done.
the bottomless pit just keeps asking for money.
Yeah.
Feed me. You can laugh. It's all right. Sometimes I'm funny. Not always. With the experience that you gained on the first film, what strategies have you altered in the approach to distribution for this next film, for Café con Leche?
Actually, this next film it's going to be a little different, and it's some things I've learned with this film, and also just with helping some of my other friends. And the strategy for this one is really I'm going to go straight to market and self-distribute for probably like the first 6 months, and during that period sell international rights to sell off the international market, because I don't want anything to do with that. Mm-hmm. That's just a more complicated beast.
Right.
But domestically, it's a lot more forgiving in terms of QC and things like that, and just the availability of getting onto streaming platforms, which is kind of like the way I'm sure everyone has seen that online and streaming and new media that's pretty much kind of the forefront of distribution right now.
Do you have any tips for anybody here who's working on a film or getting close to going the distribution route with their film on how to approach doing a self-distribution like that and approaching the streaming platforms?
I mean, really, there's a lot of people online that you can kind of like aggregators that will help you for like fees. Will help you get on the same platforms that a domestic distributor would probably do. That you would probably sign away your soul to, and they'll do exactly the same thing.
Right.
So why not do it yourself? It's a little bit more elbow grease, which that's obviously you can see this row is empty.
This man's not afraid to do all the work.
So like I pretty much was left to do a lot of this stuff. And it's a huge learning experience for me, and definitely something when you go in as a filmmaker, it's not something you kind of think about or even want to think about. But with the first film, I had to learn all that stuff, and I think it's good knowledge to have. And
once you learn it, it's part of your tool set.
Yeah.
Going forward, you're just a stronger filmmaker and able to
exactly
get things seen.
You can apply those strategies to the next film. So.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you.
Let's hear it for him. Thank you, Ray. And now we'll take a look at the trailer for Michael Foster's Hush. And joining me on stage is producer Eric Castellini.
Hi, guys.
And director of photography David Jensen. You guys have heard me say this already, but this is absolutely one of my top favorite films of the last year that I've seen.
Thank you.
I was floored the first time I saw it. It was a week after San Diego Film Awards, and I wanted to give Michael my director award.
Well, I'm sure he'd
I
say
didn't feel
thank
like
you.
I earned it anymore. Tell us a little bit about the story and what the inspiration for the story was.
Sure. So we're a little. Oh my God! I almost said it. I almost said we're a little hush hush about it, which is really lame, but it's true because it's one of those stories that you don't really want to know, the whole subject of it until you've seen it. But the story is essentially a single mom having trouble raising her 8-year-old son, and he's basically hell bent on making her life a living hell. And how far will he go to continue to do that?
I
Essentially,
think any parent in the audience here understands that horror film.
Yeah.
So,
Psychological thriller for sure.
What were some of the challenges making the movie?
Did we have any?
Well, you worked with a child. What?
Well,
one of the big no's. Right?
Totally. You would think that would be really, really hard, but we were non-union, so we were able to work his ass to death, which was nice. But in all seriousness, though, like his mom was always on set, or his dad was always on set, and they turned out to be just the super coolest parents you could possibly imagine, which makes sense because he's one of the coolest kids I've ever met in my life. And what you see on screen, does not translate to who he actually is, which if you remember from the premiere, he basically emceed that thing for us. He's
precocious.
got a great personality. So he was really easy to work with, and he was always anxious to do whatever it took. And the benefit to working with a kid at that age, at least in our experience, was that he could mess around, when we were between shots and just play and have a good time. And he loved being in a room full of adults. And then as soon as it was go time, he was right there. The child's imagination, that's what it was.
Well, let's take a look at this brilliantly lovable child and what he was able to do on screen for you. So Rachel Barker.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you guys let that clip go long enough. And I know that this is probably like the worst room to say this in, but Rachel is easily my favorite actor in San Diego.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, but she's phenomenal and just super easy to work with. And Shane, you've worked with her, you know what that's like. And she's fantastic.
Superb in this role.
Yeah, she really is. As soon as I read the script, Michael came to me with the script. I don't know, a few short months before we started shooting, and as soon as I read it, I was like, I hope she's available, because she's pretty particular about, she's got her own, like most of us, the 9-to-5 thing that she has to do, and she's very picky about what she does. So it took a lot of selling to get her, but we were really, really happy to have her. Yeah.
Good. Now we were talking about marketing with Ray. The first trailer for your film got 12,000 views in 4 days. What was the strategy you guys used to accomplish that? Because a lot of us put stuff online and we're lucky to get a couple hundred hits. To get 12,000.
I think all of us had pretty extensive networks, and so it was really about sharing and asking friends to share.
So the whole team got on board with that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think didn't it get up to like 20?
I think ultimately it was like 64,000 views, something absurd like that. And truthfully, like even with that, what David is saying, because that's like what I think we all think that's all we have to do to make it work, or at least we hope that that's all we have to do to make it work, because it's pretty easy. Like we all have like pretty extensive networks, not all of us, but whatever. The point is, we were expecting 300-400 views, and that would be awesome. And so when it did that, it was the definition of viral. I learned what that was because of that experience. I never knew what the actual definition was. And I honestly think that a lot of it has to do with and this is, David can tell you, my mantra the whole time we were shooting was, it's really important to pay attention, and by pay attention, you can really apply that to almost anything. And in this case, it was really about, what does Hollywood do? What do they do when they make a trailer? What does it look like? How do they make you ask, well, what the fuck was that about? You know what I mean? And that's something that Michael is really good at is paying that close attention and editing based on not reinventing the wheel. So I think
a lot of us, like, we don't think about our trailers when we put them together. We throw them together real fast, just to get them online.
Yeah, because you're psyched about it, and
I think too. I think one of the greatest things about this project was that Michael had such a clear vision for the film and a clear vision for each step in like promoting the film, that when we actually shot pieces of it, it was already in his head, and he was editing it, so it just made it that much better.
Yeah, he was editing it as we were shooting. And so he and I also remember, I think it's a combination of two things. The short answer is pay attention, make a trailer that actually makes sense, which is the prequel to that is content. Content is essential, right? You have to have good content. Like, don't mess around and make a movie just because you want to do it. Like, pay attention to what you're writing, what the story is, and is it really compelling, right? So that's number one. And number two is we didn't really know about that there's actually a time and place on social media to release information where most eyeballs are actually on a screen. So we found out because we talked to people. Michael and David both used to work over at Sony Electronics, and they have, between the two of them, have a pretty extensive network of people that know about the social media marketing. So we met with somebody that they both used to work with, and she gave us a bunch of like tips on when to release things. And a lot of people think that part of getting to your network is just throw it out there, right? Get it all out there. And the answer to that is you're actually pissing people off.
Right.
I mean, how many times do you guys go on your Facebook page and you see one person post in like 7 different places that you subscribe to, and you don't look at
the exact same post on each
and you
one.
don't look
just
at it.
Copy and paste and copy.
Totally. And like for my part, sometimes I don't even look at them because I'm like, ugh. And that's just like, that's because I'm an arrogant dick. But, but truthfully, dripping the information out there actually does a good job for, getting more eyeballs.
You guys also had a lot of like traditional media attention from iHeartMedia, KPBS, Cinema Junkies, San Diego City Beat.
Yeah.
How did you court your media exposure, and how helpful was that?
It was extremely helpful. I have to give major props to Gadir Munib, who is our associate producer on this. I think it was Michael's idea to do it, but she really was the one who wrangled all these people, and we put together a package essentially, and a night for them to come hang out with us and watch it. Some of them couldn't make it. I know KPBS and The Reader. Their reps couldn't join us, but we gave them a screener, and it was just like I think the trailer really helped to get like Beth Accomando and Scott Marks, is that his last name? Marks from The Reader, yeah, to get them to watch it, because it's hard to get people like that to actually pay attention and then fill out a piece of paper and send it back to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
When you ended up using a lot of their quotes and stuff in your second trailer.
Totally. So yeah, that was something that we knew we were going to do from the start. Also, again, paying attention. Like the first trailer is always, what is this about, right? The teaser, and then the next trailer. Well, usually there's like a 1.5, 2 minute long trailer, and then it's once you get the media screenings, then you throw up all that information up on the screen. So it's not so that it brings validity to what you're doing now. Right. None of them, they were all very clear. They were like, look, we're not going to promise you that we're going to like your movie, and so that's a risk that you take, right?
Yeah, well, that's the key with traditional media. Is
for sure. They're
going to be honest one way or the other.
Well, and that also helped us too.
You want that.
Yeah, exactly. And their response was so positive for us. We were just like, dude, we got something. At that point we knew that, that what we had was going to be, successful.
Well, let's take a look at the second trailer for Hush.
Right on.
I think those quotes really kind of help sell it. It's a good movie.
Well, yeah, the quotes and the pictures are gorgeous. Obviously,
yes, it is a beautiful film,
right? And I have to give major props to Alex McDaniel as well for his music. The music really, really sets a tone, and it's the right one.
That was Alex's first score too.
As far as I know, yeah. He's just kind of a savant, when it comes to that kind of work.
Yeah. Really was our first film too.
Right, for all of us, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic job.
Thank you.
There's another project that you're currently working on. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, David,
real quick?
You want to? Okay. So, it's a series of short stories that are written by Silas Buckley, who's one of our native authors. So he's written these short stories that he went to David with. And, after having this experience together, David knew exactly where he wanted to go with it. So he brought it to Michael and to me. and Michael has signed on to edit. They asked me to adapt the stories into screenplay format, and so it's called The Other Day in Masasaga. And it's kind of really challenging to describe. Silas has got a really warped sense of the world, which is pretty awesome because he's willing to share that perspective with us. So it's something we get to play with that sort of feels like Twilight Zone reimagined, or like Goosebumps for adults. So very dark, dank spaces, but with a lot of color. You know what I mean?
Sounds very cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So
It's a little like Big Fish.
Yeah. Totally. Big Fish.
Okay, yeah.
But there's 8 stories and 8 more. So
Nice. Well, I'm sold. When do you guys expect to?
Well,
start
yeah.
working
So
on that?
we're gonna start dripping. Well, we've already put the Facebook page up there. So if you connect with either one of us, you can find it through us. And we're looking at just dripping information like we did with Hush, and just keep your eye on social media, and you'll see what we're doing with it.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you.
Let's hear it for Eric and David and the cast and crew of Hush. And now let's have a look at the exciting trailer for South of 8. Ryan Bentz, George Jack, and Brian Butler. Let's hear it for him. So, South of 8, on your own website, is described as a do-it-yourself, no-budget 10K feature film. Tell us a little bit about the experience of making a movie in that
100K.
Is that 100K?
Big difference.
Typo.
Yeah.
We found the typo.
Technically,
100K.
we're supposed to say under $1 million.
What was it like making the movie?
Well, it's
on the do-it-yourself style.
Yeah, it's definitely a independent film, and it's a San Diego film. And for Tony to write something that ambitious and that huge scope for like what he had down here was just so ambitious, and the way he pulled it off was incredible. Like,
I remember the first time I saw the trailer online, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Not to mention the work ethic. Everybody really came through on this.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was fantastic work. Can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that you had making it with what we have here in San Diego?
It was probably the scheduling. As you can see, there was a pretty ensemble cast. There was a lot of people in the cast, so we had to schedule a lot of people, and it took a long time. And I think that's why it really took about 1.5 years for principal photography, and that's the main reason why, is because scheduling. It's so tough. Everybody's got their 9 to 5. Everybody's got to make a living. This is our art. I mean, this is what we do for fun. This is our hobby.
But you obviously took your time with it, which I think shows, because it's a fantastic-looking film. Which I think that's one of the things San Diego filmmakers maybe could do more of, is taking a little bit longer to get the things that we want to shoot and put it down. I mean, Eric Castellini said sort of the same thing. Make sure that you're not just making a movie for the sake of making a movie.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you guys to make it? I mean, what pushed you so hard to take 1.5 years to do principal photography?
I know Tony was really inspired by like spaghetti western films and doing it as sort of like a semi-futuristic dystopian film, and that's what really drove the whole script. And when I read it, like, I'm a big fan of spaghetti western and dystopian films, and seeing that was like really cool. It's like Reservoir Dogs kind of, and El Mariachi, just sort of starting out with something so huge like that, so that really inspired me. And then just him writing a really compelling, intricate script with all these little details to it, and just like looking at it initially, I was like, how the heck are we going to do this? And then seeing the film, it was just so inspiring to see it like completely finished. Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at a scene from the film. So you guys premiered this at the Downtown Los Angeles Film Festival. How did it feel to finally show it to an audience?
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. Like, it was cool to get nominated. Tony got nominated for Best Screenplay.
Best Screenplay,
and he won, compared to, all these other really awesome movies out there. And, it had a really great turnout. It was just cool to see everyone's reaction. I watched it like 3 times before that, like the rough cut and everything. And I was just amazed at what he did with everything that we had,
We also had a few random veterans in the industry just randomly show up. They heard about the film, they saw how it was done, and they wanted to meet Tony.
That's fantastic. That's what you hope for, right? George, how did it feel for you to see the performance and everything on the big screen?
Yeah, I mean, it was overwhelming for sure because we were shooting it, like I said, me and him for sure were there for a year and a half. And to see the final product after a year and a half, I mean, in the beginning, we didn't know if it was going to get finished because how guerrilla we were shooting it, how intricate it was developing the schedule for everybody because there were so many people, but it all turned out, and that night was the culmination of it, and I don't know, it felt amazing. It was cool to see everybody's reactions for sure.
Now, you guys are prepping for AFM yourselves. What's your strategy going in trying to get distribution?
We're not going to AFM.
No, you're not?
We're doing something else, but we're not allowed to actually talk about
I'm
that.
sensing the...
Yeah. This is why I'm sitting here, to monitor these guys.
This is our lawyer.
Right. Okay. While I check what I can and can't talk about, let's see another scene from the film. So, entertainment law. You guys have big guns and everything. You have any tips for filmmakers on how to avoid getting themselves into trouble going forward on their films?
Well, first of all, contracts. If you want to sell anything, you need what's called a cleared chain of title. So whenever you arrive up on the set, whether you're an employee or a producer, make sure you have paperwork to legitimize everybody's work. Next, you're talking about big guns. I can neither confirm nor deny. Just hurry up.
Helps to have your own location too.
Oh yeah.
If you're in your own place, like that's private and concealed.
And let the neighbors know.
Yeah.
That's just awkward for everybody.
Now, where all did you shoot in San Diego?
Everywhere in San. There was, I can't say like what percent, but there was a huge percent that was shot like in outside areas all over town, and there were several scenes shot at a studio, and there's some bank heist scenes in the film, like at different banks, and we actually had to construct different banks for each scene, which was really difficult, and it's a true testament to the production design of the film. There was a lot of stuff done in post-production, but there's a lot of stuff done like on set as well that just like really added to the look of the film, and it's a real testament to Tony and Luke and everyone behind the scenes who really like helped like make that stuff, you know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You were saying you had
Oh
something to
yeah,
add?
my apologies, everybody. I saw what he was asking there. Another thing is logos. There are a lot of distributors that if they see Starbucks or BMW, they won't even open a deal with you. So if you can, try to hide as many logos, put some green tape on there, and then just copy and paste the surrounding area and post. It's not that hard from what I hear. I don't know, I haven't done it, so.
There are editors in this room who just cringed.
Yeah, no, but it's a huge major thing. So like for my Mazda, you know, we just put some black gaff tape over the M, boom, done.
And it's an Asda?
Maserati.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, guys. Congratulations on the success, and hope you guys get a good distribution deal.
Thanks again for having us.
Thank you. And now we're going to bring Ryan and Yvette up, or just Ryan. Come on up, Ryan. You can introduce your film.
So nervous. No. Oh, no. I want to thank all the filmmakers for coming, so give them a round of applause. Thank you. The reason why we wanted to have these filmmakers here are because I think they're really bringing up the value here in San Diego, and I aspire to what they're doing here, and I hope, as a growing filmmaker, I hope to do what they're doing too. So I wanted to have them, and it's always good to learn from those who are a little ahead of you. Other than that, I don't really have much to say about the film, other than I really hope you enjoy it. It was shot here in San Diego. It was made for this community. Like, perfect audience was this. So I really appreciate coming. This is for you guys. Made for the people, by the people. Enjoy.
Be sure to like us on Facebook at Intellectual Entertainment. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Intellectual. And don't forget to subscribe to Intellectual Network on YouTube.